Hi Siri, I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm gonna go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning. Welcome to a live edition of the program. It's PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. I want to thank James Bates for our introduction today on this Wednesday of Tennessee week. We'll have JC here in just a second. Then we'll have Bob Kesling, the voice of the Tennessee Vols. Touchdown, Tennessee. Good morning, JC. I don't think he does that. That's what John Ward used to do, right?
John Ward, yeah, that's the old Tennessee radio guy. Bob Kesling was the Jefferson Pilot Game of the Week, live from Raleigh, North Carolina, as the Wolfpack and the Wake Forest Demon Deacons square off in Raleigh. Now they've replaced that great game with Big Noon, and apparently Big Noon has turned out pretty good for Fox because of Colorado last week. They had just as many viewers, if you can believe this, for Big Noon between Nebraska and Colorado, which locally was 10 o'clock in the morning, which, I mean, don't get me started on that. But that game had just as many viewers as the Alabama-Texas game. So, early season excitement. And, things will they'll kind of smooth out here. I don't think Texas A&M, and I don't think Clemson, and I don't think the other disappointing team, who was it in week one, LSU, those teams are going to win some games this year. They're going to win a lot of games, actually. And you'll start thinking, wow, those first 2 weeks of the season could have been somewhat of an anomaly. I just think there's too many good players on those teams for them to be that bad. They'll be better.
JC, a lot of people won't know, have you ever even been to Wyoming?
I have not, but I am going to go probably next summer. I have a friend who has a place in Jackson Hole, and so we're going to go there. But Wyoming, the Cowboys are rolling into Austin, Texas to face the Longhorns, who might have a huge letdown after that big game. Don't be surprised if Wyoming hangs around for the first two quarters as Texas tries to clear the cobwebs from their euphoria and all of their excitement over the biggest win in Texas Longhorn history since Matt Leinart and, Mark Sanchez and Reggie Bush. Oh, it was. It was the biggest win Texas has had in over 10 years. You know that.
Well, you didn't say 10 years initially.
Well, first of all, they hadn't beaten Alabama so long, nobody can even remember when. And secondly, they have been so irrelevant since Reggie Bush, Mark Sanchez, Matt Leinart, you know what I'm saying, Vince Young, but, played them in that game against USC. Vince Young was the last big-time football thrill that gave Texas anything to cheer about in so long. How many coaches they've been through? So, in a way, it's really exciting for Texas. And I'll tell you what, Texas is coming to the SEC next year. This is going to be and I looked at Florida's schedule for next season, and I got to tell you, guys, get better fast because that schedule next year is just absolutely scorching. But we'll worry about that.
Yeah, ain't nobody worried about that schedule.
That's right. How about Tennessee? Well, let's worry about Tennessee right now. Nobody cares about next year. Yeah.
And you're now on the Cleveland Browns bandwagon, I see.
The Brownies. I don't know if anybody noticed, but they just flat out dominated on Sunday. And, Nick Chubb, if he stays healthy, and that defense with Myles Garrett, nobody's talking about the Browns winning that division. They could. I mean, they just embarrassed Cincinnati. And, again, week one. But Cleveland, if they stay healthy, could be something if Watson can have a good year. I don't know. I mean, the Cleveland Browns, right? I mean, nobody talks about the Cleveland. Who are the Cleveland Browns? They've been nothing. And here they are now, 1-0.
Josh says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Go Gators. Yep. Andy says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. Shane, during Billy's weekly show, Sean brought up that only you have more passing yards than Mertz in their first two games. Yeah, somebody sent me that via Twitter the other day.
Well, I was so glad you sent that to me. I was able to sleep last night after I got
I
that.
figured it, but the picture, I just wish we would go back to our legitimate Florida
Yeah.
Gator blue color.
Oh, weren't those nice? Oh.
Yeah, I hate our new blue that we wear.
Oh man, those dark blue jerseys. What? Why can't Florida just do that? Just go back to that look, man.
It's a Nike deal. Nike from their production plant wants to make Kentucky, Boise, Florida. I think there's 2 more schools, all the same blue. But if you look at the blue back in the 90s, it was totally darker and it looks a lot better.
It sure does.
That stuff they're doing now. Brandon says he played Cog Hill number 4 yesterday. Heck of a track. Yeah, it's good. Good golf course. They got a lot of good golf courses out there.
I played that as well, Brandon. I didn't like the Reese Jones layout. I thought it was too hokey with where you drive the ball. The rough was ridiculous. I played that exact same course. But hey, I'm glad he got to go to Chicago and play. They have 4 courses in that area. It's all public. It's tough though.
Reggie says Gators better get it together before Sunday. No reason that game last night go 5 sets with a barely 500 team. I'm assuming I missed it. I think we played Florida State in volleyball last night. I'm assuming we won. Sunday, JC, the number 1 team in America rolls into the O-Dome, the Badgers of Wisconsin.
Wow, here they come.
And the Gators number 3. So
I love that they're playing great teams early in the year. I mean, they've already played Penn State too, right? I mean, so I think that's a real indication of what to expect. Just like this game Saturday with Tennessee, man. This game, I'm just gonna say, in my mind, right now, where Florida's football program is, this game Saturday, and I try not to overstate things early in the year, but to me, this is Billy's clearly his biggest game as the head coach of Florida Gators, just because it needs to be set that the tone for Florida football nationally has to improve, and beating Tennessee will allow that to happen. If they lose to Tennessee, nobody's going to think about it. They're going to go 6-6, 7-6, 8, or whatever it is.
We don't know that. You can't forecast.
I know,
the future,
I can't.
JC.
I know, but nobody in America is going to be talking about the Florida Gators. They need to beat Tennessee.
And Tennessee, as we all know, has trouble winning here for some reason. We'll ask Bob Kesling why that is. Mark says, Shane, wasn't it starter uniforms y'all used to wear? Yeah, starter and champion was the official supplier of uniforms for us. Florida Boy on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, we have the QB and wide receivers to do it. Spread it out and air it out. Amen, Florida Boy. Amen. Let's go win the game. Let's get ahead of – JC, did I tell you – I've said this – I've been on like Steve Russell's show and some other shows, but I didn't realize this, and I may have said it on my program. I apologize for repeating it, but I need to repeat it.
Go ahead.
Did you know that when the Mighty Gators took the opening kickoff against the Cowboys of McNeese State and drove down and went up 7-0, that's the first lead that the Gators have had since the South Carolina game last year in the Swamp?
The first lead?
Yeah.
Wow. No, that if you go back to each game, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
wow.
And it's just like 4 or 5 games before we had a lead. That's my point. If we get the opening kickoff, let's don't be afraid to throw it.
Throw it, man.
3 straight times.
And the front runners don't get conservative, man. Keep going.
Yeah.
Don't get conservative.
Bury them.
Be a good front runner. The defenses love to play with leads, man. It makes them just peel their ears back.
Well, you get ahead, the crowd's into it. Yeah. It's just let's air it out. All right, Jerry's got a good question here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law. It says, QB, is it easier to read a defense under center versus shotgun? If not, would it be better to keep Mertz in the shotgun Saturday since we've had some O-line issues? I never got to play in college in the shotgun. I used to beg for it. Coach Spurrier wasn't a big believer of it. But I like both. I think being under center helps in some cases. So you'll see them mix it up. Joseph says, do we have a 2-minute offense? Let's get some pace on offense. I agree. They do have one. They do have one for sure.
I think Steve decided the shotgun was appropriate when Danny was getting destroyed against Florida State. And, you just have to adapt. And that's what most coaches are doing now.
All right. We got a text on the Titan No More text line.
Okay.
It says, Shane, I'm so sick of Gator local and national pundits talking about last year and predicting doom and gloom. Billy has got to drill it in that a signature win Saturday will shut
Win
the
Saturday.
pundits up. We need
Well,
it.
Yeah.
We got
Gotta
to
win
have
Saturday.
it. It's big. Yeah, no, there's no chance. There's no doubt about that.
It's his biggest game as Florida coach, period. For this program, for the way people look at Florida, for the recruits that have verbally committed, this is the game they have to show out. Period.
Yeah. Laney asked, "Are you still in touch with Brady Ackerman? Any chance of guest appearance?" Brady is living in Austin, Texas. He had knee replacement. Doesn't really follow sports that much anymore.
Oh,
but
really?
Maybe we can get.
I think
he follows the Texas Longhorns.
I got about 39 text messages Saturday during the Texas-Alabama game. So Brady's doing just fine over there in Austin. He loves Texas with the way they look athletically and with their head coach and quarterback. He thinks they're going very, very deep this year, and they could.
This is Gators 0182 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Diplomacy. Shane, how many times have y'all listened to Luther Ogle this week? I'll be honest, none. I haven't seen anything Luther Ogle, which that's that craziness that James Bates used to do back in the day. So Bates is great, but some of his goofiness I don't get sometimes.
Well, he's a Tennessee guy, man. He left Tennessee to play for the Gators.
That's right.
That was difficult for his family. That was not easy. But yeah, he's
Chad says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum. QB, when are we going to see Billy spread the field and utilize our speed with 10 personnel? I don't know. I've asked about that. Instead, he's infatuated with 12 personnel and our slow-ass tight ends. He's running more 11 personnel, which is my favorite formation, quite honestly, or favorite personnel grouping. But there's a time and place you need to go 10, and he's yet to do it. Maybe we do it this game. I don't know. Maybe we do. I agree 1,000% with Adam here. He says, go Gators. Gator defensive line is going to have a big game Saturday night. The front seven. That is the key. That is the key. So,
well, yeah, I'd say this. I'd say make this Joe Milton guy beat you. Meaning,
but again, if you go back and you study Josh Heupel's offenses, he's a run-heavy play caller. 1966 HBC beers available at Spurs, Gridiron Grill, Gator Games in the Swamp, and select retail outlets. Chris American Lager, that's 1966 HBC beer. Speaking with JC on the Titan More Hotline, we're going to have Bob Kesling, the voice of the Tennessee Vols, in the second portion of today's
show. Who do you think, after 2 weeks in the season, who would you say is the third highest rated passer in college football right now today? Knowing that Caleb Williams and Sam Hartman are 1 and 2, who would you guess might be right behind them passing the football? Just throw a name out there if you can.
Shadir Sanders.
That's a good guess. It's actually Jackson Dart for Mississippi. And, Mississippi is going to be playing Alabama in 2 weeks, but don't sleep on Ole Miss. I know you don't think as highly of them as I do.
I think their defense is terrible.
Yeah. Well, and they could have easily lost to Tulane if the Michael Pratt had played easily. Yeah. They were struggling with Tulane.
Okay, JC. Todd on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, has a question. I'm going to see if you can answer it for him.
Let's go.
I'm probably going to have to correct you, but he wants to know, can you explain what 10, 11, and 12 personnel is?
All right. 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 running back?
Correct. So if you have 1 running back and 1 tight end, that means how many receivers do you have?
1 tight end and 1 running back means you have 4.
You have 3 receivers.
3. Okay. But 12 personnel is 1 running back and 2 tight ends.
Which means you have how many receivers?
2.
Yep.
And then 10 would be with 4. And
4 wides.
4 wides because there's no tight ends. You take that second number, Todd, and that's the number of tight ends.
And what's interesting is I had to learn that when I went to the NFL. Everybody in America uses those terminology.
Now they do.
We didn't in Florida.
Right.
10 personnel for us was called bandit. 11 personnel.
I remember bandit, a lot of bandit. Yeah.
12 personnel was called tech. So, yeah, Coach Spurrier didn't use that stuff.
You guys liked bandit quite a bit. That was a very popular.
Bandit personnel was 11 personnel, and we used a ton of it.
10, 11.
It's my favorite group.
You like 11? Okay.
I love 11. Hal says merch is growing on Gator Nation. His fundamentals, footwork, and decision making have been encouraging. Hope this Saturday's a breakout game for him nationally.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah. It's
like
right
I
there
said,
for
like I say on this show a lot. I don't know a whole lot about life and stuff,
No.
but I do know that quarterback play. And I told y'all he's damn good. He
Well-
would be playing. He would be in the line of all those Spurrier guys that were here in that 12-year span. He's that kind of quarterback. He's probably smarter than all of us, quite honestly.
Well, he's a good kid, and we'll be rooting hard. We'll be rooting hard for him to put it on Tennessee, man. Nobody likes Tennessee.
All right.
So
31M Burr on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, Shane, after week 1, is Trevor a top 3 quarterback in the league and is AR better than Fields?
well, that AR Fields question is yet.
They're the same guy to me.
That's yet to be determined. Trevor, I don't know if he's top 3, but I'd definitely put him in the top 10. And when you think about top 3, of course, you got to think about Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. You think
Joe
about
Burrow.
You think about the guys getting paid all that money. But listen, Trevor is with Doug Peterson, who I think frankly has saved Trevor's NFL career, because Urban had no idea what he was doing with Trevor Lawrence. But he did draft him though. But still, Doug Peterson is the I think the nucleus of why Jacksonville has now been transformed, obviously. And with this game Sunday against Kansas City, I can't wait for that game. This place will probably be as electric as it was for the playoff game against the Chargers last year. So it's good to see in Jacksonville things turning around and really becoming exciting for the Jags. And let's tip our cap to the Bucs too, going up to Minnesota and winning. They've got a home game as well this weekend.
All right, so this is another NFL question here from Andy. He says, if you're the Jets general manager, who do you bring in? Wentz, Colt McCoy, Matt Ryan, or Kaepernick? Out of that group right there, I'm bringing in Colt McCoy.
Okay, I would probably go with Tom Brady. No, I mean, Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is.
There's no way I'd bring Carson Wentz in. You might as well play with. You might as well play with the kid you got now. But the reason I say Colt McCoy, because he's extremely smart and accurate, and he's been a great backup for the majority of his career. I think he'd be good for them. I think they're going to stick with the kid they have. But Matt Ryan, no. Kaepernick, no. Lord, no. And Wentz just turns it over too much. I don't.
I thought he was a lot better before he got hurt when he was playing for Philadelphia. But you're right. He is a liability. And that's why he's not on a roster right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
I've got the Alabama solution. Scrap this 7-man protection BS. Let's go to the pistol. Let's force man coverage, and let's watch Alabama become more offensive with Jalen Milroe. But I think they're going to start this. They're going to play this kid Buckner from Notre Dame because he's taking snaps with the ones in practice. I got that information this week, and I bet you'll see a lot of him because they don't need Milroe to beat USF. But if you're going to put Milroe in the game, in the SEC, forget about this dumb 7-man coverage. When Joe Burrow threw for 57% again with LSU the year before he went crazy and won the Heisman, they were in 7-man coverage schemes, and they finally figured out that, no, that's not going to work. Let's bring Joe Brady in and get those wide receivers involved.
JC, you're comparing apples to oranges.
I know. But I'm just saying, you cannot put Jalen. You have to lead with his legs. He has to be athletic and run. He cannot be a pocket guy. He cannot play quarterback.
Are you doubting the greatest coach of all time?
No, I'm saying Tommy Rees needs to figure it out.
Well, you don't think damn Nick Saban's not telling him what to do?
No, I think Tommy Rees is running the offense, not Nick Saban.
Crap.
Well, come on, QB. You know as well as I do that Nick Saban brought in these OCs, and when he adapted, when Texas A&M showed him what he had to do with the offense, that was Lane Kiffin, that was Steve Sarkisian, that was Brian Dable, that was the guy that just left, whatever, the pro coach, but Bill
O'Brien's his name.
Bill O'Brien, okay. But now you've got this kid from Notre Dame calling plays at QB. They cannot sit him in the pocket. He's got to run. Got to lead with his legs.
All right. Well, you call the Nick Saban show tomorrow night.
I just
over there at Dreamland Barbecue. Call him and And bitch and complain to Eli Gold.
No, I'm just saying, don't you agree that Milroe has to be the guy that runs instead of pocket passes?
But if you spread him out and people blitz, he ain't gonna know what to do.
Well, let him run then. Let him run.
All right.
Let him go.
Well, he doesn't need to be playing quarterbacks, bottom line. All right, Wes says that would solve a lot of your problems. Wes says, Shane, I love the show. Why not ask Zook to be the special teams coach? We need special teams help. One, Zook is retired. He was coaching at Maryland a little bit, coaching the XFL this past year.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize coaching college football now is not much fun for these people because it is year-round recruiting on a daily basis. The NIL is a nightmare. It's different than it used to be. You'd have to pay him a lot of money to do that. Redware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. A little bit longer here with JC, and then we're going to get to Bob Kesling and talk a little Tennessee Vols. We got some YouTubers brought to you by Quality Plumbing.
YouTube.
There's a bunch of them on here.
I like YouTube.
Andrew says, QB, I agree we need to throw the ball, but the team with the most rushing yards wins the game Saturday. That could be true. But my point is, imagine the atmosphere. It's going to be Saturday night. The Vols are rolling in.
Yeah.
Rocky Top's playing over there. People are booing, blah, blah, blah. Just what happens
Boy, you
if we
set
get
the scene.
What happens if we get ahead of these jokers?
Oh,
That's my point.
Yeah.
And the fastest way to get ahead of people is through the air. Through the air.
Well, QB.
Bombs away, baby. Bombs away.
I will see. You might be right. I mean, they don't need.
I'm just telling you what I would do. Now, again, you got to see how they're playing you the first couple of series and make adjustments there. JC, let's get to this day in sports.
But you keep talking about the defense, and all I'm saying is, if you make Joe Milton,
beat you. I don't think he can throw well enough.
That's what I mean.
If you want to get wild, go watch him in pregame warmup when he's out there in shorts and he's throwing it from one goal line to the other goal line, which has nothing to do with playing football. All right. This day of sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your
financial
life.
Well, you set the scene for the game
Campus.
So great. You set the scene with Rocky Top and blah, blah, blah. I mean, now I'm really excited for the
and you're going to see the checkerboard overalls, the Davy Crockett,
and the blue pick, the blue hound, the dog.
I love all that. I love it. I love listening to Rocky Top. All right, real quick, this day in sports. JC, in 2013, Jim Furyk fires 12 under par 59 in the second round of the BMW Championship at Conway Farms Golf Club in Lake Forest, which is right across the street from the Bears facility. Played it many times, becoming just the sixth player to shoot a sub 60 in a PGA Tour event. What do you think about that?
59s don't come often. One of your favorite players, DeChambeau, the guy you love the most on Live. Your favorite tour shot a 58 or 9 here this year. He sure did. But yeah, it's hard to do, man. That's crazy golf right there.
Wicked Fresh on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing.
Wicked Fresh.
He says the Gators should run out of the pistol. We do that. 31M Burr says Nathan Rourke may be better than Wilson, and he's on the Jags practice squad. He's a good little player, but Zach Wilson just needs to play. I think the Jets will be fine. Now, think about this. The Jets and the Cowboys play. That score could be 0-0.
Both defenses. Best weekend of all the teams this weekend. And how the Jets knowing at halftime that they had just lost Aaron Rodgers, coming out and still, it showed a lot of guts. I think that the coach deserves a lot of credit to Saleh, but Buffalo had to help him out a little bit. Josh Allen sure as hell did that. So with these turnovers, and that's how you lose, man. That's how Alabama loses these days, and that's how Buffalo seems to find ways to lose in these big games. They'll win a lot, but they cannot seem to get through the big ones because of the turnovers. He's got to take care of the football. Got to.
On Facebook Live here, who is this? Somebody said I didn't like handing off. No, dude, we ran the ball a bunch. I'm all about doing the opposite of what the defense is allowing you to do. That makes any sense.
Well, sometimes you've also said take what the defense gives you.
Correct.
So,
And that's what we had to do Saturday night against the Cowboys of McNeese.
I
They
mean, you could
said,
have gone out there half asleep and beaten that team. Who
no,
cares?
no, no. I'm talking about the way they played. You couldn't
Yeah.
even call pass plays sometimes the way they
Okay.
played.
All right.
I've never seen a college team play the way they played. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Well, they got
So-
that bad beat cover at the very end on the fumble and scored the touchdown and covered that 48.5. So,
JC, are there any games tomorrow for our Peachland Dental picks?
tomorrow's Thursday. Yes. So, well, we of course have the NFL.
All right, we got to pick those games, and I'm going to get to Bob Kesling.
Oh, big. All right, Bob Kesling. So Thursday we got Minnesota and Philadelphia. The Eagles are laying 7 in the NFL. The Eagles laying 7 against the Vikings. That's a hell of a lot of points in an NFL game. I got to think the Vikings are going to play better. Give me the 7 points.
I like the Vikings as well.
That's a lot of points. Philly, I don't know. They're tremendous. There's no doubt. In college football, there's just 2 games. Miami is playing for whatever reason. They're playing Bethune-Cookman. And I mean, whatever. I mean, they're actually spending time doing this kind of stuff. And then Navy is playing Memphis. Don't care about that. So that's Thursday night. And then we have 3 games on Friday. All of them are not worthy of mention. And then, of course, Saturday, the big noon game in the SEC, which I hate. Nobody in the SEC likes the noon kickoff. But LSU is playing Mississippi State, and that we'll talk about that on Friday with our picks and so forth.
Yep, that'll be a good one. All right, JC.
Okay.
Go study your Wyoming Cowboys.
Put Milroe in the pistol. Get him out of the pocket, Nick.
No, how about put Milroe at tailback like TJ Yeldon? That would be a better thing.
Okay.
He's TJ Yeldon playing quarterback. All right, that's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take a quick time out. We'll be back with the voice of the Tennessee Vols, Bob Kesling. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA. Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Going to the Titan MR Hotline now. We're joined by the voice of the Tennessee Vols, Bob Kesling. Good morning, Bob. Appreciate your time, my man.
Hey, Shane, always good to talk to you.
Yeah. All right. So I want to ask first, obviously, Tennessee has not had much success playing in Gainesville. It's baffling to me after I saw the numbers. Not that that has any bearing on this game Saturday night, but in your opinion, what's been the most difficult part for Tennessee to find a way to come out of the swamp with a win?
Well, a lot of those years, Florida just had better players, and there were some close games. But it's also a mindset. Now, Josh Heupel has done a great, I think, thing this week with his team, saying, listen, what happened back in 2004 doesn't have any influence or effect on today's game and what's coming up this week. So I think that's possible. There is a mindset, and it's a tough place to play. Shane, you know that. You played you probably went in there against some teams when you were playing that maybe had better talent than you had, but there's that mystique, there's the heat, there's the at night, all those things play into it. But this Tennessee team has a little bit more of a swagger, maybe a little more confidence. I think what Josh Heupel has done, Shane, that has been tremendous. From day one, he came in and said, it wasn't, we're going to have a rebuilding process here. It's going to take me 5 years, be patient, all that type of stuff. He came in from day one and said, we got 63 scholarship players. We're going to go out and play our butts off and do the best we can. And we're going to win football games. And the players fed off that. And of course, first year they go to a bowl game. And then a year and a half into this thing, they're ranked number 1 in the country in that first playoff poll last year. So his ability to get these guys to play at a very high level has been really pretty amazing. But as you know, you got to have a quarterback these days. To win in college football, you got to have a quarterback. And Hendon Hooker was just tremendous. And all the Tennessee fans after the game on Saturday are saying, well, what's wrong with this offense? What's wrong with this and that? Well, they score 30 points and they win against Austin Peay. And people aren't very happy because they're used to Hendon Hooker hitting guys wide open down the field, and Joe Milton missed those guys on Saturday. They probably could have scored 40 or 50 points early in the game if Milton would have hit some guys, but he threw some passes high, threw some passes behind guys when they were wide open down the field. And so Tennessee struggled in the first half. They really took over in the second, but Tennessee fans aren't used. They've been spoiled the last year and a half with Hendon Hooker, and we'll see what happens with Joe Milton on Saturday night on a big stage.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. I think a lot of people overlook how good a college football player Hendon Hooker was. And people forget, nothing against Joe Milton, but the facts are the facts. He lost his job at Michigan. He had the job at Tennessee, got benched, and Hendon Hooker took over. Now, he played well last year, late in the year, but it's a new year. I know Tennessee has some great receivers, but they lost some really good ones to the National Football League as well. But accuracy is a huge, huge problem for him. As a Gator fan, and I'm sure everybody in the swamp, we're hoping he's not very accurate Saturday night. Talking about Josh Heupel, being a former quarterback, what kind of guy is he off the field? I mean, and also like at practice, is he a yeller, screamer, or what?
No, not really. He very rarely raises his voice during practice. He's pretty emotional on the sideline. The thing about him, he has extreme confidence in himself, and he has he believes he's a good play caller. He believes his offense, if they execute, is unstoppable. And that's pretty remarkable with a lot of coaches. You've seen it around this league as long as you've been covering games in this league and playing in games like this. Sometimes these SEC jobs get away from coaches. They spin too fast. They can't delegate. They can't manage their time. They can't manage some people. They can't manage a bunch of stuff. But when Josh Heupel came into this thing, this wasn't too big for him. His dad was a coach. His dad taught him how to manage time. That's one thing he does very well. He doesn't waste time. They get on the practice field. They get what they need to do. They get done. It's usually less than 90 minutes every single day, and they spend a lot of time in the classroom studying. But he's a guy that just exudes confidence, and his players feed off that. And I think it's really a tremendous trait. But he does, if he tells you that you've got a meeting with him at 11:15, he's there at 11:15. He doesn't make you wait 30 minutes or 40 minutes like some coaches would do, because he manages his time. He's again, his dad was a coach. His dad taught him very early. It's about managing your time, managing your schedule. Don't waste time. Get as much done as you can in every single day. And so he's been very productive. And again, when he came in here, there was a whole different feeling in the building, just because he knew what he was doing, and he knew his plan, and he knew how to execute the plan. And there are a lot of coaches that take these SEC jobs and they don't realize how big they are. But I think Josh Heupel did.
When you look at this Tennessee offense, Just, I only see them play a couple of times a year, but I feel like they want to run the football. And then they get the big pass plays off the run game. Talk a little bit about the running backs that the Gator fans may see Saturday night in the Swamp, and how do you like this offensive line?
Well, they've got three different running backs, and they've all got a little bit of a different style. Jalen Wright has really come on. He had a tremendous offseason. He's added some weight and he's stronger in his lower body. And he's had back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. And Jalen Wright is really a good running back. Jabari Small is kind of a versatile guy. He can run between the tackles, but he can catch the ball out of the backfield. And then Dylan Sampson is the speed guy. Sampson can really run, and he'll be a sophomore. So those are three really good running backs. The offensive line, they hope to have Cooper Mays back at center on Saturday. He's missed the first couple of games because they had a procedure during camp. And the offensive line has struggled a little bit. I mean, Austin Peay did a pretty good job of getting in the backfield, and Virginia cost Tennessee some problems. Stopped them on a 4th and 1 in Tennessee territory early in that game. So I think the offensive line, they've got a transfer in from Miami at left tackle and John Campbell, and he's done pretty well. They've got a transfer from Texas playing guard in Carrick. So they've kind of patched it together a little bit with these transfers in. But Cooper Mays is going to be a big part of this if he's back, because they trust him. He gets all the calls. I think he and Joe Milton have a pretty good relationship in terms of Cooper calling the fronts and then Joe being able to adjust. And maybe some of the problems, I don't want to call them problems, but kind of the sputters in the Tennessee offense the first 2 weeks was maybe because Joe Milton didn't have Cooper Mays there to help him with the fronts, and there wasn't that comfort zone. But if he's playing on Saturday, and they hope he is, that might help Tennessee's offense. But Shane, you're right. They want to run the ball. They want to spread you out, and they want to get you to get those safeties and the cornerback spread way out, and then they want to run the ball right up the middle. And you've got to make adjustments, and you got to pick your poison sometimes with the Tennessee offense. But if you look at the game on Saturday, Joe Milton threw for 200 and some yards, whatever it was, but he didn't throw the ball downfield very much. Most of his yards came from yards after catch, yak yards. And so he would throw the ball to the sideline and then watch Brew McCoy, or they had a 34-yard touchdown pass when they threw it out to Castles on the sideline, and then he ran 34 yards down the field. So, but Joe Milton got credit for those yards. So that's the one thing that Tennessee's offense, I think they want to improve on this week, is throwing the ball down the field more effectively and being able to connect on some of those long passes.
Yeah. On Facebook Live, brought to you by Meldon Law, G says, I'm a retired military from Oak Ridge. I remember when Bob Kesling used to be the sports anchor guy on Channel 10.
That was about 2 eons ago. Yeah, that was a long time. That's I was walk-on fullback here, and Coach Fulmer was a graduate assistant on that freshman team in '72, and so was Tim Priest, who was my longtime radio partner. They kept telling me to broaden my horizons while I was playing. You know what that means, Shane?
Yeah, no doubt.
Find something else to do. And so anyway, I was able to get in the local radio, and then I got on Channel 10 here in town back in 1980. And during that time, then I was able to get on with Jefferson Pilot and those Saturday games. And those were a lot of fun, and those 12:30 games. And and then I was able to transition to this job when John Ward retired 25 years ago. So one thing about it, in our business, sometimes you got to move around and go where the jobs are. But I've had a lot of good jobs, and I've never had to move my family once. So it's been a good thing. I've been here since '72, so it's been a good time. But I had 18 good years on television. We had a lot of fun there.
That's awesome. All right, let's switch to the defense before we get you out of here.
Okay.
Tennessee, I guess since Heupel's they haven't been great on defense. Let's be honest. Do you think they're better this year than they've been his first 2 years?
Well, that's the hope. I don't know if they've been tested yet. Austin Peay was able to scheme them up a little bit and make some plays on them, and they threw probably some different looks they hadn't seen. And so Austin Peay was able to move the ball some, and that was kind of a concern. One thing they did, they went out and got Keenan Peely, a transfer from Brigham Young. They thought he was going to be the run stopper in the middle, but he's hurt, and so now he's out. Aaron Beasley's playing out of his mind. He's running all over the place and making tackles and getting into the other team's backfield. They lost Byron Young, which is a big loss. He was their big edge rusher and pass rusher. Tyler Barron has stepped up. He's played pretty well. They've got lots of guys in the secondary that have been around for a long time. Danico Slaughter and Jalen McCullough and a bunch of those guys have been around for a long time. But it still has not been a dominant secondary. They haven't turned the ball over a lot, haven't had a lot of interceptions. But they got veterans back there. Kamal Haddon is a veteran guy too back there. But again, they want to be better in the defensive line. They've got to be able to get in the backfield and with their down linemen and not have to blitz all the time. And that's what they're trying to do. They've been pretty successful so far playing in the other team's backfields. But that, again, I think, Shane, that's one of the things about this team. How good can this defense be, and can they be a team that can get the ball back for the offense? And that's still yet to be seen.
We had a couple of texts before we get you out of here as well. And this is from George in Nashville, Tennessee. He says, does Tennessee really have a punter that's ambidextrous?
We call him amphibious. Yeah, he can
amphibious.
He kicks with both feet. He's an Australian rules football guy, and they saw him, and he was kicking right-footed when they were looking at him in one of those tryout camps or someplace when they're looking at him, and all of a sudden he goes off the other way and kicks left-footed. Now, so far he hadn't kicked really well with either foot, and he had a couple of. His first one right out of the chute went 17 yards and out of bounds. Ooh. That was right-footed, and then then he had another one. I think it was 26 yards in the first game. But he bounced back, had a better game on Saturday. I think this is just off the top of my head. I think he had 2 right-footed and 1 left-footed kicks. But he'll do the thing. He'll roll right, and he'll kind of slow down, and you think, well, maybe he's going to take off running. And that kind of pulls the guys up, and then he'll try and kick it over your head. Most of his kicks are end over end, and he kicked better last week. But you got to so far it's been kind of touch and go with him, but it's fun to watch. And Ross has been one of the good stories of this team so far, and as people just kind of figure out if he's going to go left or right.
That's interesting. Alan in Memphis on the Titan Tomorrow text line wants to know, Bob, do you get to see Peyton Manning on campus now that he's a professor?
Haven't seen him yet. I don't know how many times he's been in the classroom. He's not going to be there every single day. He's coming in periodically to teach the class. But
what is he teaching?
He's kind of teaching communication skills. He's in that's what he graduated in. So he's trying to teach these guys how to market themselves, basically, and how to do a lot of TV production and things. Peyton's everywhere. So his Omaha production company's doing stuff everywhere. So yeah, Peyton pops in and out. He's got a place down on the honors course down close to Chattanooga. So he pops in there all the time, and well, not all the time, but he pops in and out. But he'll be at most of the home games, I guess, this year. So he'll step in and teach a class a day or two, and then go to the game, and then go back whatever else he's doing that week.
All right, my last question for you. Was the Alabama game last year the greatest game you've ever called?
It's probably just from the whole week was amazing. Over the past 15, 20 years, Tennessee fans went into the Alabama game hoping they'd have a good game, hoping they could win. That week, Tennessee fans were convinced they were going to beat Alabama. And so it had a different feel to it. And the buildup was great. And then you get to the game, and it's not so much that Alabama played poorly. Bryce Young was unbelievable in that game. I mean, they scored 49 points. So it's not like the Alabama offense wasn't any good. But Hendon Hooker and the Tennessee team just found a way to beat them. And when they got down, Alabama missed the field goal that would have won the game. And Hooker makes those great plays, that one good throw to Brew McCoy to set up the game-winning field goal. I will tell you a story, Shane, as we close this thing out. My daughter and son-in-law took our 2 grandkids to the game. The grandkids are 9 and 7. And so everybody's standing up. And so they're having a hard time seeing the game. But so they're up on benches and looking around people and dodging and trying to see what's going on. Well, now they come down to the last kick. Chase McGrath comes out there to kick the game-winning field goal. And so it goes through and everybody's jumping up and going crazy. And my daughter looks and our 7-year-old grandson is gone. Have no idea where he is. He's gone. He could be anywhere. And Allison starts to panic. And she looks across the aisle over there, and about 4 seats down, there's George, our grandson, on the shoulders of this guy. And they're jumping up and down, high-fiving and stuff. And I asked Allison, did you know the guy? She said, I never seen him before in my life. He said he saw George trying to see the game. And he goes, young man, this is a play you're going to remember the rest of your life. And he picked him up and put him on his shoulders so he could see the game. Isn't that a cool story?
That is awesome.
And there was stuff like that going on all over the stadium. So it was just such a relief. And I think the thing that made it even better is, as I said before, it's not the fact that Alabama played poorly. Alabama played great, especially on offense, but Tennessee just outplayed them. And those are the games that are the most satisfying when your team just outplays the other team.
My last question, the $1 million quarterback y'all got from California.
Yeah.
Is there any chance you see him playing this year?
I would say only if Milton gets hurt or Milton just completely falls off the cliff. I think Josh Heupel has said from the start that Nico, it's Iamaleava, by the way, as you start to practice it. It's easier when you get it started, but it kind of flows off your tongue once you figure out how to say it. But Nico, I mean, he's going to be a good player, Shane. He's 6'6", can roll out, can run, can throw. He's got a really soft touch on the ball. I mean, he can really spin it. But his long ball has a nice arc to it, nice touch. So he's going to be a good one. But Josh Heupel said from the start, this is Joe Milton's team. He's the guy, and he's the quarterback, and he's not looking over his shoulder, and he's helping Nico get ready for next year. But this is Joe Milton's team. And until Joe plays himself out of the job, which Tennessee hopes he doesn't do, he's the guy. So it's not like they're gonna force Nico in for 2 or 3 series every game. This is Joe Milton's team.
All right, Bob, appreciate your time this morning. Hey, safe travels, and we'll see you in the press box, my man.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shane. Thanks for having me on.
That's Bob Kesling, the voice of the Tennessee Vols. Join us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. Going to take a quick time out, come back and wrap up this Wednesday edition. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Attention all Gator fans, Meldon Law is giving away a chance to experience the Florida-Georgia game like never before. 2-night stay at the Hilton on the River, dinner at Ruth Chris Steakhouse, 2 premium tickets to the game, and a football signed by Coach Billy Napier, and much more. Go to the Meldon Law Facebook page and look for the VIP experience for 2. Good luck and go Gators!
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Rose Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right. With the right insurance options for you and your family, visit OgreInsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. I really want to thank JC and Bob Kesling, the voice of the Tennessee Vols, for joining us on the program. we got Tim here does not like the Tennessee Vols. Well, that's fine, but we're going to have guests from the opposing teams. That's what you do on these shows. Andy says, Shane, are you on quite a few talk shows on game weeks from our opposing teams media folks? Yes. You kind of do each other's shows and things of that nature, and they kind of want to get a feel of the opponent, and that's why I love having Bob Kesling on, because back in the day, as he mentioned, he worked at Jefferson Pilot. The game of the week, it was like WTBS, then it went Jefferson Pilot, and I think Lincoln Financial took it over throughout the SEC. So we appreciate his time. He didn't have to do it, but it's always good to get a viewpoint from the opponent, and we'll see what happens come Saturday night. Let's see here. We got a couple of Facebook lives. Tommy says, great guest, Bob Kesling, go Gators. Chris says, as much as I love to hate Tennessee, Kesling seems like a real good guy. No question. And Tim asked if he charged me for that interview. Unfortunately, no, it was free. We got Chris on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. It says, Tennessee secondary suspect, but their front seven's pretty decent. I hope Mertz is uncuffed and can throw to the playmakers. I'm right there with you, partner. Let's let it go. Yeah. All right. Tomorrow is Thursday. We'll have Brent Bear, our college football analyst. We'll talk a little high school sports as well. I'm supposed to have one more guest from Tennessee. I got some communication out there for 3 different people. First to respond and agree to come on. We'll come on Friday after JC, just to get a final thoughts on the Vols rolling into the swamp Saturday night. I can't wait. As I mentioned earlier, I do know that the Florida Gator football program, Billy Napier and his staff, have really focused on the rivalry type games all summer long, that being Georgia, Tennessee, and the semis. Majority of the practices in the summertime, not the summertime, when training camp started, they played nothing but Rocky Top, the War Chant, and the Georgia. What, I don't even know what that song's called. I should know that, but their fight song. So they just played that the entire practices. Tim, no, we're not going to have Peyton come on. I know Peyton. I've texted him many times to come on my show, and I totally get it. If he comes on my show, that means he feels like he's got to go on everybody's show. He goes on the big time network shows for sure. So he's like, look, I would do it, but it's just going to open up a can of worms. So, Cliff says LSU is the third oldest rival behind Georgia and Auburn. They may have had Hold That Tiger playing too. I don't remember, but I do know we got to find a way to beat. I mean, Tennessee and Georgia are the main ones we got to beat because they're in the East. However, starting next year, you don't have the East and the West. It's only going to be one big conference. So that's going to do it for today's program. Again, thanks to Bob Kesling and JC for joining us on the Titan